Hey y'all, it's Speedy Spence here. So I'm gonna call this the start of my build, I guess. I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to get the front end taken apart. So one part of my build is I'm doing 2-inch over stock legend suspension in the front, so that basically you get fork tubes that fit on a tri-glide, and they'll fit the same front end that I have. They're just longer forks for the taller bike. And I got dropping legend cartridges, and also up on the front end I'm doing a carbon fiber front fender, as well as a bare knuckle performance fork brace. And I have to get my forks off so I can get the sliders cut for bare knuckles fork brace, because they machine them in a pair so it perfectly fits together and there's no crushing of the fork slider and possibly messing up the sealing surface or anything like that. And they're the best out there. And I could do it at work or something like that and machine them myself, but I'd much rather let the professionals do it, especially whenever the professionals have been doing it way longer than I have. Also, coming on the front end of this, I got brand new wheels and tires. I went with a Jade Affiliate DV7 19-inch front wheel with Metzler Cruise Techs, and I went with Gallifer rotors, Performance Machine calipers, and Performance Machine levers and controls and all that, but that'll be a later video. But as of today, I'm going to pretty well disassemble the entire front end, hopefully get a start on disassembling the fork tubes, pulling the front fender, front tire, brakes, so on and so forth. Hopefully in a mission to get the fork sliders and tubes off so I can start getting these prepped and packaged so they can get up to bare knuckle and he can get those parts machined out for me. And we will hopefully get them back soon, and then I can start going further back. And I'm going to do a little time-lapse video of this. I haven't done a time-lapse of me working on anything yet, so I don't really know how it's going to turn out, but stick around. So I want to start off with, I have an oil pan over here. I already did one shock just to see how easy it would be and to figure out my camera setup. But pretty well all you need is a pick. I like the little curve style. You don't have to have one of these, but if you don't have one, I would suggest buying one. It's a little impact ratchet kind of deal. You hit the back of it with a hammer. It's the only hammer I really got besides my other claw hammer. And you hit the back of it and it loosens up this here screw right here. And it's really easy to use. It keeps you from trying to twist it out with a fat Phillips, and you're just kind of like, gives you a better chance of it not stripping. But so far I've taken off the fork end cap. It just took those off, and I'm getting ready to loosen this. I've already loosened it with my impact, so it was just a lot easier to do that off camera without me banging on the table that my camera's sitting on with on the workbench, and figured it'd just be better to do it this way. So you take that end of it out, and then what you're going to do is you're going to come over here, take this end off next, and you are going to take pick this up, your oil pan, flip it over, and it's going to start pouring some oil out. And then you're going to, whoop, just like that, pull this out, and it's going to just drain all the way out. And if you're ever working on anything, these little throwaway serving dishes or pans or whatever you want to call them, they work 10 times easier than trying to lug around a big oil pan to catch it all in, or trying to hit a cup. You know, this you could buy at Dollar General and throw it away, and it's not going to hurt your feelings or be some big costly thing to add to the shop. Excuse me. But just kind of got to let it drain a little bit, and then you can pump it a little bit, kind of get a little bit of the last little bit out of there. And then I got a roll of paper towels here. I don't have any shop towels, but grab your shop towel, roll of paper towels or whatever, and kind of wipe off the end. Put your pan back up out of the way, and you're done with that for now. And next, what we're going to do is, I don't really have a good Allen wrench set. I just have an Amazon basic set, but I have this Matco set, and it's got these little drivers in it. But what I did was I just took a 1/4-inch socket and put the driver in it, and there's a screw down in here that goes on the end of the fork dampener, and I'm going to take that loose. Okay, and I'm going to loosen that, and once that's out of there, take that and put it in there with the rest. Put my driver in there so I don't lose it. I'm going to take it, try to pour some of the rest of it in the pan, and naturally I spill some. But there we go. Now most of it's out. I'm going to take it and pump it a couple times again. Try to make sure that the rest of it is out of there. And there's still going to be some residual left in there just because there's seals and stuff and sliders that it rides on. Yeah, see, I've just changed directions of it and it leaks out some more. But that'll catch most of your mess. Alright, and then next thing we got to do is, try not to spill any more oil on me, is right inside here. I don't know if you could see it very well. I'll go get my flashlight real quick and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Inside there, you can kind of see it there on the wall, is a little retainer clip. And you take your pick and you pick that out of there. And it's really not that hard to get out. You just kind of stick your pick in there. Kind of like so. Whoop, grab it. Pull it up out of there, and then boom, there it comes off. And that's really simple to get out of there. You don't have to worry about much. Now this is how you slide your forks apart. I've done this on previous bikes, so I know how to do it. But you take it and you can slide the fork tube out and kind of bang it on the seal, and it'll slide right out. So and you can see that right there, it comes straight apart. And then there's the dampener rod end. So that, I'll set this over here, let it drain out some more oil. But this is the dampener rod end. And goodness, my workbench is dirty now. But that just screws, or doesn't really screw, it just kind of sits on that end there. And that bolt kind of holds it into place. It keeps your suspension set in your forks. So what I usually do whenever I'm doing suspension work, I usually screw everything back together by hand, not like super tight or nothing, just get everything back together by hand. And then, since I'm sending these fork sliders to get machined, I'm going to take all the hardware off of it except for the back fork clamp on this one. I'm going to put that back on. I don't know if it'll help them with setting it up in the machine. I don't know how they do it, but I'm going to send that up there with them just in case they need it. You know, I'd rather them have it and need it, it's there, than not have it and really need it, and then, you know, they're hung up on part because I didn't send them everything. But next thing you do is you go in the house and get yourself a sandwich bag. And I'm rebuilding both sides, so I have both sides apart. I'm going to take them, get all the pieces that I bolted off of it, unbolted it, and then take a piece of duct tape. You can use whatever you want, rubber band, doesn't matter. Goodness, the sucker's on there. Alright, and then kind of take your bag and stick it to your bag, and then stick your bag to your fork. And then, since this is the right hand side, and those of you that don't know, let me get this out of here, wipe some oil off here real quick. But on your forks, it'll say right or left, and you can see the L there and the R over here. And that's, I just kind of keep the forks together that way, and it'll kind of keep your little headache from happening. So I just write on this bag here, right hand fork. Fork parts. Since I don't really know what I need to rebuild it, I don't know if I have extras of these or whatever, so I'm just trying to keep everything together, ready for whenever I go to assemble the front suspension. But so guys, I ended up showing you a little bit more in depth, taking the fork sliders off of the forks. Only wanted to do that because sometimes that's a little confusing. Removing the front forks, that's pretty self-explanatory, but if you're not very mechanically inclined or you run into a snag, what do you typically do? You run to YouTube or you run to a forum. That's what I do. But whenever I can't find it there, I know I can find it in here. And I got a climber manual for it. And I used it today, disassembling the front forks and a little bit with the fork sliders. I've already done those on a different bike, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me. And I would highly recommend you all buying a book if you're ever going to do any kind of mechanical work on your bike and you're not sure on the torque specs or how to disassemble something properly without running into snags. So that's what I would recommend. After my fork sliders come back, I know that I can either rebuild the front forks and get the 2-inch over set up done in the front and have the front end finished completely, or I can move on back to the rear suspension because I have to do some work back there, and that should be pretty easily to get done. I'm not too concerned. I'm just doing 14-inch, that's 2-inch over stock, Russ Weirmont rear shocks, and they shouldn't be too terribly hard to install. I'm also doing a chain drive conversion kit to accept my fatter back tire. I'm also doing performance machine controls and brake calipers for the front. I'm also replacing the cam with a Woods 222 and going in and I got an oil plate, or cam plate and an oil pump, sorry. And that's the next thing on the list. Other than that, it's pretty well, get the suspension, chain drive kit, cams in, and then kind of bleed the brakes, do all the little button up stuff, and then we're off to the races on figuring out what I'm going to do with the paint and everything else. But right now I think I'm going to start working on the rear of this bike and get the suspension worked out, and just kind of get it roughed in for now, because you got to set the preload and all this stuff, and that all is going to have to happen at the end really. But I decided to do the front forks now because I need the front sliders done so I can get that part on. I can't really do anything until those are cut and actually ready to go back with me. But if you liked the video, hit like and subscribe if you want. If not, that's fine too. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.